Hi and welcome. This video I'm going to have a look at something quite, well, it's very pleasing to me. This is the ground, the nature reserve I've been making behind me, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to have a look at how it's changed and how it's coming along. And in fact, the reason I'm standing here now is because I've just been looking at a few old photos, very low res from back in the day photos of this place, even 10 years ago. When it was quite bleak and not many trees. And so the reason I'm standing here is I've got a telegraph pole there and I've got birch tree there, and those two things, well, the telegraph pole was always there, the birch tree was one of the first things I planted, so it'll give a bit of contrast so you can see what this was like a while ago. Now the reason this really pleases me to see this getting on, these trees behind me, and I've been planting nest boxes this spring, and the reason that's such a great thing for me to be able to do is because I remember when this was basically bleak field, nothing in it really, it was just sheep grazed, and the idea of having like trees in it big enough you could put nest boxes in just seemed like kind of like it would never happen, especially in the context of where this is. So one of the things, to get a really good view of this now, to see how it's coming along, because obviously most of the views I get now is just solid leaves and trees and whatever. So one of the ways is I'm going to use a quadcopter, put a little camera on it, send it up, nice morning, see what's going on. You get a better view of it probably from there. So when we're looking at the fact that this is all like trees now, and you think, oh god, why is he getting so excited? They're just trees. It's because when you look at this, the sun at the hill's coming up behind, but we're on the other side of the valley to that. That's Plinlimmon and then Snowdon, and this place in the winter is really, really bleak, and it's very windswept, and you get lots of high speed wind, which is very damaging when you're planting young trees because they just bend over, break, whatever, and also the cold drives into them, so that's not really much good. So one of the things that you'll see in the old photos, and if you've looked at the old videos I've got on here, is that when it's very windswept you plant willows and trees like that, which are pioneer species. Now willows, I'll probably have a little bit to hand here. One second. So here we have a piece of willow. I hope you didn't just catch me saying whoops-a-daisy on camera. Right, so willows are basically sticks, and you just cut a bit off, stick it in the ground, and it grows. Trouble is, it doesn't grow into anything very special. It kind of stays like a whippy piece of, well, it's windbreak they use it for. Now, so I planted thousands and thousands and thousands of willows all over the place, and you use these just to give shelter to the tree behind it, because if you've got an empty field and very high wind, and you just stick an oak tree in the middle of it, a little oak tree sapling, it's going to be a long wait till it ever gets going, if it ever does. In fact, what you'll end up with is what you see on a lot of sort of Welsh skylines and sort of Welsh hills, where you get like one oak tree and it's kind of like a bonsai, you know, something like 6 foot tall, it's leaning at an angle and all that stuff. So if you want to grow proper trees, you need to have shelter and windbreak around it. I mean, this is so exciting, is the fact that I'm putting up nest boxes and everything, and that's the reason for it, is because a field that's like sheep grazing, just grass, supports very little wildlife, you know, per acre, whereas now I've got something where there's trees big enough to put nest boxes in, which brings me on to where I'm looking at these nest boxes. Now, because of how exposed it is here, there's lots and lots of opportunity for the rain to drive into the nest boxes, and even though they look great when they go up, within a couple of years they end up looking very sort of beaten up and whatever, normally covered in moss. And it's amazing how the rain can really affect them. So I've been looking at all different designs of nest boxes as well. I've got some traditional ones in sheltered places, like on the dry side when they're on the barn. And I've also got nest boxes in trees in more exposed places. And that's made an enormous difference to what used to be here like 5-10 years ago. You know, if you look at if you wanted to go back and like some of my older videos, when I look at those and you see the amount of birds that was here, and then I look now, it's absolutely incredible, because here it's absolutely teeming with birds. And a lot of that has reflected the type of trees that grow first. So I've got a lot of willow warblers, because they love all this willow that grows so quick. So I've got a lot of willow warblers, chiffchaffs, that kind of thing. Those things which like to perch in trees, fairly smallish trees, and then fly from the branches, catch flies, come back. And this time of year is a great time to look at it, and you can always tell when it's a good time because of how many insects there are. And if you go down by the pond, there's so many insects, it's unbelievable. And that means basically food. So all the birds at the moment are either nesting, or most of them actually are feeding chicks in the nest already. And they time that to coincide with when you've got this huge influx of insects on the pond and on the plants and the bees and the flowers, so that they've got an absolutely endless supply of insects to take back to the nest, and to feed the young ones, to give them absolutely the best possible chance. Looking at these nest boxes, like I say, you've got most of the things that have turned up have been the ones that really appreciate this kind of landscape. So you've got lots of warblers, lots of chiffchaffs, a lot of migrant birds coming in that come in the spring. The red starts are one of my favourites. Funnily enough, they were already here when this was literally just a bare field and a bare house, just like 4 stone walls. The redstart was one of the first and only sort of visitors that would be easy to see around here, and that's because he would nest and she would nest in the holes in the wall and stuff like that. But now they've got more opportunity for nest sites. I've got probably 3 or 4 pairs of those nesting here that I can see. There's probably more than that. And they're one of my favourites, because seeing those, it reminds me of when it started off, and also it reminds me, I know it's spring, I know it's summer, and I know it's working when I've got the redstart here, and I kind of is like an absolute favourite of mine, really, to look out and see the redstart. And the nest boxes, these are worth looking at, because I've put up quite a few of these. They don't all get taken up. I'm playing around with the designs of them. I'm using 3 or 4 different designs. Obviously a lot of birds, willow warblers, those kinds of things, they actually nest in like the tufts of grass beneath the tree, so they're difficult to find the nest. I don't want to walk around too much, because around here I'll end up standing on them, because there's skylarks now, there's warblers, all things nesting in the grass, and the wrens. The wrens, it looks like I'm a messy worker when I do these trees, because all the branches that come down, all the thinning out I leave it in big piles. It looks like I'm a messy worker because I leave all these branches and bits of trees in big piles, but there's a reason for that, is because that's the other environment that they absolutely love to nest in. So the piles of brash that I've got, the sticks and the twigs and all that, they get made into a big pile. It always has wren nests in it, and each one probably has sometimes 2 nests in it, and then they do that twice, and then there's loads of those dotted all around the woods. So I've got all those kinds of things as well. So there's a lot of ground nesting birds, but the trees, they attract insects when they're in full blossom, when they've got insects and sap on them. They just change the whole environment, and they also make it a place that birds feel safe. So you'll see a lot of times there'll be stuff like the redstart. It prefers to hunt from a perch. It sits on the perch, flies out, catches a fly, goes back to the perch, and that isn't possible when you've got an empty field. And also it'd be a sitting target for sparrowhawks and other predators somewhere like this, so they really need a security of feeling they can just duck back into safety when they want to. So I hope you've enjoyed having a little look, see what it looks like now, and I don't know, let's have another look and see what it looks like in a few years' time.